I'll just recap because I forgot to start recording. So we are discussing that first is the soul wanted to enjoy sense gratification, and because of which it creates many desires, and desires create designations. Like if I want to fulfill my desires, I need a, so here designations means different instruments, different instruments to fulfill desires, right? And then comes the next part we discuss here. Only because of different causes does a person sees a difference between himself and others, just as one sees the reflection of body appearing differently manifest on water, on oil, or in mirror. So we have different causes that are having different effect on our state, and we are getting affected. And then this important verse is where one's mind and senses are attracted to sense gratification, mind becomes agitated, and because of which constantly thinking of sense object, real consciousness is dried. So here what happens is that we are our mind is disturbed only in a still state. This is actually this example of water is very important. Here what happens is real consciousness understood when our mind is calm. Mind should be calm, but here what is happening, constantly thinking of sense objects, so it is agitated mind. So this is becomes agitated. So when mind is agitated, we cannot think of Krishna, we cannot understand. Two things are there for prayer and for hearing. We need a calm mind if you want to offer prayer, or if we want to hear Krishna Katha. So if we have this calm mind, if we are doing these activities, then immediately we will find a, we will be able to, that will change our heart actually. That is the greatest effect. When we are hearing Krishna Katha, our mind is very calm, and with proper state, with proper humility, with proper motivation we are doing, immediately there will be change in heart. Because Krishna Katha is very powerful. Why it is not having immediate effect on us? Because our mind is agitated like that. And our meditation is going on a wrong direction. We are meditating in a wrong way. So ultimately we have to meditate, but unfortunately we are and then designations, and this is also very important. We have to purify them of different designations. Prabhupada is telling, you see, we cannot kill desires, but we have to purify designations. If we purify designations, then we start thinking our desires will be accordingly. So if I have a designation, I am servant of Krishna. What is Guru doing? He is giving initiation. At the time of initiation, he is giving us a designation that now you are a servant, das, dasi of Krishna. So it's designations. Once designation is there, then desires are also accordingly. So that is also works. So from desires comes designations, and designations comes desires. So both are connected like that. If I am servant, so I start thinking of servant. My desires will be servant. So we discussed this many times. If you tell you are a student, you start thinking like a student. If you are told, okay, now you are a teacher. Like if you remember, we have this parent teachers day. You know that day, students they take the role of teachers, and you teach. And that time they try to take that role. So if you are given a designation, you start working like that. And this is nowadays some seminars are coming, they want to teach people the designations, then immediately you start working. That means they are trying to give them ego. The sanskaras are for that only. You are given a sanskara that okay, you are a husband, you are a wife now. They start thinking like that, they start desiring like that. And this is the method. And then Krishna tells that, sorry, Kumaras are telling further, When one deviates from his original consciousness, he loses the capacity to remember his previous position or recognize his present one. When remembrance is lost, all knowledge acquired based on false foundation. When this occurs, learned scholars consider that the soul is lost. So this is like conclusion. So it started from where? It started from soul's desire to enjoy. And then it came all the way here. So it's a nice presentation. Upon becoming fixed in his attachment to Supreme Lord by the grace of spiritual master, by awakening knowledge, living entity situated within the heart of the body, covered by five elements, burns his material surroundings exactly fire arising from the wood burn. So he said that this will happen, and then he start explaining that when a person becomes devoid of material desires, how he will get liberated. From here onwards, when the soul exists for sense gratification and how the soul is lost. So all these five shlokas are one section, we can say, their presentation. So he spoke about a dream state of the soul and how it is liberated. He's speaking this in the verse 27. But 28th onwards, he started telling how we are getting entangled. First, it starts with souls becoming soul exists for sense gratification. Now we may ask the question: soul is Satchidananda. It is always pure, right? Soul is considered always pure, and we should be always happy. But how this desire for sense gratification come for the soul, and how to understand? So we had this question: how it is soul is getting contaminated. So the analogy is given because we say that I will write here. Yeah, the soul. Now it is said that soul is always pure only. So now how this, because now the soul is having sense gratification, right? Now how this is entering into the soul, how it is understood. So the example is given of a uh, shining stone. Now this is like a crystal, no? Like, so now crystal stone is there. Now if you keep besides the colored, if you keep besides a red color or green color, yellow color, so what happens? It starts reflecting. Now the crystal is transparent only, but because of its association with this color, it starts reflecting. You're understanding the point? Similarly, the soul is always pure, but it comes in touch with material nature, it immediately start desiring sense gratification. Now this is where the problem comes. Now we should not ask the question when it happened. That is not known, but somehow it happened. That we are pure, but somehow when we came in touch with this, now also we are pure only, but we are in contact with material nature. We are reflecting, and once we reflect this desire for sense gratification, then the next stages comes. This we discussed also. Then the next stages is what? Then we are given this, yeah, before only we discussed, yeah. Then we are given all the manas, then the antakarana is given to the soul. Here only we'll write. So once you start reflecting the desire for enjoyment, then the soul is given antakarana. So it is first thing for the soul is given is mind, because the desire to enjoy all things are fulfilled because it need a specific desire. So mind comes, then mind is there, then you need speech, then you need somebody to tell that you are good, then wife is created, like that. So the system goes like very systematic. So it is proper. Why Lord created certain things is that is the reason. It is created in that way. Uh, just a second. Yeah. So we were discussing this. The soul is given all this antakarana, and systematically it is given other things also. Uh, okay. Okay. Mm. So next is only because of different causes. Yeah. So now we see the next stages. First stages, it is given designations. But when one is in the transcendental position, he is no longer interested in anything except fulfilling the desires of the Lord. So that is okay, different part. So first thing is it got designation. Second is then because now you have the mind and you have designations, then you see the difference between himself and others. Then only comes. So ego should be needed. So only because of different causes does one see. Then what happens? Second, third thing is so with the mind you start sensor attracted to sense objects, mind is agitated, and the consciousness is gone. And this is the second. Then the next stage is when one's original consciousness is lost, the soul is lost. That is how the system comes. The next law, there is no stronger obstructions to one's self-interest than thinking other subject matters to be more pleasing than one's self-realization. So there is no stronger obstructions to one's self-interest than thinking other subject matters to be more pleasing than one's self-realization. So human life is especially meant for self-realization. So self refers to super self and the individual self, the supreme personality of Godhead and the living entity. Then, however, one becomes more interested in the body and bodily sense gratification. He creates for himself obstructions in the path of self realization. By the influence of Maya, one becomes more interested in sense gratification, which is prohibited in this material world for those interested in self realization. Instead of becoming interested in sense gratification, one should divert his activities to satisfy the senses of the Supreme Soul. Anything performed contrary to this principle is certainly against one's self interest. So nate vidu swartha gatim hi Vishnu. So this is the self-interest. Oh, very nicely it is called. So what is the strong obstructions to one's self-interest? So that means what is the most troubling thing? Troubling thing is, what is the troubling thing? Thinking other subject matters to be more pleasing than one's self-realization. So if you are not thinking of self-realization, any other subject matter is more important. That is the greatest trouble for us. That is the strongest obstruction. Now for us we have many other subjects. Money, career, family, house, car. So they are all very important subject matters. If we are giving this priority over self realization, over our sadhana, then it is the strongest obstruction to one's self interest. So it is very painful actually. Unfortunately, we are not understanding. We are unhappy. We don't know why we are unhappy also, because we are giving priority to things which we should not give. That is why we are unhappy. So now what we can do? Okay, Proji, I cannot think of self realization now. But what we can do, we can keep Guru's mission as our only goal. That is more easy and tangible for us. We can relate to it. Okay, this is my Guru's service, I will do it. So the subject matter is, instead of sense gratification, the subject matter is service to Guru. And slowly, slowly we get purified, and self realization, perfection of life, that will come to that stage will come easily. But we should know that this is the method. So Kumara said, telling, Array, you are doing any, you are the greatest disservice you are doing to yourself is giving other subject as priority. नातः परतरो लोके पुंसः स्वार्थ व्यतिक्रमः यद् अद्य अन्यस्य प्रेयष्टम् आत्मनः स्व व्यतिक्रमात्. So atmanah swavyatikramat. It is strong obstacle to one's self-interest. What? When we have anyaha preyashtvam. If we have another object more interesting. Anyasya. So this is natah parataro loke. So this is the greatest problem here for us. Arten indriyartabidhyanam सर्वार्तापन सर्वार्तापनवो नृणाम् ब्रह्मिष्टो ज्ञानविज्ञानात् येनाविशति मुख्यताम्. For human society, constantly thinking of how to earn money and apply it for sense gratification brings about the destruction of everyone's interest. When one becomes devoid of knowledge and devotional service, he enters into species of life like those of trees and stones. So now human society constantly think of how to earn money and apply it for sense gratification. So this is very properly placed. Everybody is doing this only. They want to earn and apply it for sense gratification. Brings about destruction of everyone's interest. What is this interest? The self-interest. In the previous verse also he's telling. Now he's trying to explain that point. When one becomes devoid of knowledge of devotional service, he enters into the species of life, those of trees and stones. That means the consciousness is much more degraded. Jnana or knowledge means to understand one's constitutional position, and Vijnana refers to practical application of that knowledge in life. In modern human society, human life, one should come to the position of jnana and vijnana. But despite this great opportunity, if one does not develop knowledge and practical application of knowledge through the help of the spiritual master and shastras, in other words, if one misuses this opportunity, then in the next life he is sure to be born in the species of non-moving living entities. Non-moving living entities include hills, mountains, trees, plants, etc. This stage of life is called punyatma or mukhyatma, namely making all activities zero. Philosophers who support stopping all activities are called shunyavadis. So this is Prabhupada is trying to explain it. We want to do an activity, but it should be done for Krishna. So this lack of activity is represented by trees and hills. This is a very nice point Prabhupada is making. Is telling that philosophers who support stopping all activities are called shunyavadis. By nature's own way, our activities are to be gradually diverted to devotional service. But these are philosophers who, instead of purifying their activities, try to make everything zero or void of all activities. This lack of activity is represented by trees and hills. This is a kind of punishment inflicted by laws of nature. So if somebody is telling no desire, Lord says, okay, become a tree. Of course, Lord does not say material nature makes. If we do not properly execute our mission of human life in self realization, nature's punishment will render us inactive by putting us in the form of trees and hills. There are hill redwood trees. So these trees are from 6,000 years. Can you imagine what a big punishment? So people want to conserve conservation of the forest and other things. But I think we should not conserve it because it's a punishment for that living entity, which poor fellow has to stand for thousands of years like that. So one who is constantly thinking of activities to earn money and gratify the senses in following a path which is suicidal. Actually, all human society is following this path. Somewhere or other, people are determined to earn money to or get money by begging, borrowing, or stealing and applying that for sense gratification. Such a civilization is greatest obstacle in the path of self-realization. So very nice. The Kumaras are giving nice instruction. Prabhupada is trying to make us understand in a very nice way. न कुर्यात् करिहि चित्सङ्गं तमसस्त्रिवरं त्रितिषु धर्मार्थकाममोक्षाणां यद् अन्यतः विगतात्मकम्. Those who strongly desire to cross over the nations must not associate with modes of ignorance, for hedonistic activities are greatest obstacle to realization of religious principles, economic development, and regulated sense gratification, at last liberation. So what Prabhupada is telling the four principles of life allow one to live according to religious principle. So to earn money according to one's position in society, to allow the senses to enjoy the sense objects according to regulation, and to progress along the path of liberation from this material attachment. As long as the body is there, it is not possible to become completely free from all these material interest. It is not, however, recommended that one act only for sense gratification and earn money for that purpose only. Sacrificing all religious principles for present moment, human civilization does not care for religious principles. Oh, people are not, because what is the reason? It recommended that act only for sense gratification, earn money for the that purpose, sacrificing all religious principles. So people are not caring and however greatly interested in economic development without religious principles. For instance, in slaughterhouses, the butchers certainly get money easily, but such business is not based on religious principles. Similarly, there are many nightclubs for sense gratification, brothels for sex. Sex, of course, is allowed in marriage life, but prostitution is prohibited because all other activities are ultimately aimed at liberation, at freedom from the clutches of material existence. Similarly, although the government may license liquor shops, this does not mean that liquor shops should be opened unrestrictedly and illicit liquor smuggle. License is meant for restriction. No one has to take the license for sugar, wheat, or milk because there is no need to restrict these things. In other words, it is advised that not one not to act in a way that will obstruct the regular process of advancement in spiritual life and liberation. The Vedic principle of sense gratification is therefore planned in such a way that one can economically develop and enjoy sense gratification and ultimately attain liberation. Vedic civilization offers us all knowledge in the Shastras, and if we have a regulated life under the direction of Shastra and Guru, all our material desires will be fulfilled. At the same time, we will be able to go forward to liberation. So, very wonderful purport. Prabhupada is trying to explain that because they are interested in sense gratification, economic development, they are not even minding how the money is coming. Prabhupada gave only few examples, but there are many more in that way, in that direction. Many more examples. Now it is becoming much worse. We have online money and this money cheating, and we have so many ways people are running and corruption and all. Corruption and all is something we cannot even imagine also. So then what happens? Prabhupada said, no, no, follow Shastra. Don't whimsically act. This is the point Prabhupada is telling. So don't earn money uh, irreligiously. So this is what Prabhupada is trying to explain here. And the next shloka says that Tatrapi moksha evartha atyainika te yesha yate त्रैवर्गो अर्थयतो नित्यं कर्- कर्तान्तभयसंयुतः. Out of four principles, namely religion, economic development, sense gratification, liberation, liberation has to be taken very seriously. The other three are subject to destruction of the stringent laws of nature, that is death. So, religion, economic development, sense gratification will ultimately end only. It will lead to destruction. But whereas liberation means freeing. So, moksha or liberation has to be taken very seriously, even at the sacrifice of other three items. So, we can give up other three items for sake of liberation. As advised by Sutta Goswami in the beginning of Bhagavatam, धर्मस्य ही अपवर्गस्य नार्तो अर्थो धर्मस्वनिष्ठित पुंसां विश्वक्सेन कथास्य. So, dharmasya hi na arthasya. Dharma is not for economic development. So, religious principle is not based on success in economic development because we are very attached to sense gratification. We go to God to temple or churches for some economic reasons. So, they gain economic development does not mean sense gratification. Everything should be uh, economic, everything should be adjusted in such a way that we attain liberation. So foolishly we are not afraid of death, nor do we consider that death will take away everything acquired by process of dharma, artha, and kama. By dharma or pious activities, we may be elevated to a heavenly planet, but this does not mean freedom from clutches of birth, death, old age, and disease. The purport is that we can sacrifice all interest in Trivarga, religious principle, economic differences. So, regulate regarding liberation, it is said in Bhagavad Gita, "Tyaktva deham punarjanmo naiti." Liberation means that giving up one's body, one does not have to accept another material body. So, then Prabhupada explained what is liberation for impersonalists and what is liberation for the devotees. परेवरे च ये भावा गुणव्यतिकरादनु न तेषां विद्यते क्षेमम् ईश विद्वांसिताश्रिताम्. We accept as blessings different states of higher life, distinction, designation, distinguishing them from lower states of life. But we should know that such distinctions exist only in relation to the interchange of modes of nature. Actually, the states of life have no permanent existence, for all of them will be destroyed by supreme controller. So, in our material existence, we accept a higher form of life as a blessing and lower form as a curse. This distinction of higher and lower only exists as long as the different material qualities interact. So, this is a very important point. What happens is always the modes are going up, down, up, down, up, down, and because of which things are changing here. Now it is mode of passion and ignorance time. That's why big cities come and all these missionaries, factories, and all. Now say suddenly mode of goodness come. So everybody will be having a big farms, cultivating cow, nature. Some people are mostly interested in self-realization. Some ashramas and no, all these things we will see. So now it is passion. We'll see this. So it's modes that are changing everything. Like sometimes we see the changes in the nature, right? Summer, winter, rainy, and all these seasons are changing. So the changes are because this is all because of modes of nature only. So now in a day only we can see. See early morning Brahma Muhurta time. Now till now, like say till 7:38, we will see that okay, it is little sattvic. So this is mode of goodness. So the mode change now. It is entering into passion. As soon as passion comes, everybody becomes active. They want to do something. Go around, run, earn money, this, that. And by the day ends, it is all tamoguna. So the time changes and things start changing for people. They want to, they are some good people, they want to sleep, another want to do tamoguna activities. So you're seeing, so the modes are actually controlling and they are interchanging, and because of which the purpose is such a uh, distinctions exist only in relation to interchange of the modes of nature. That's all. So all of them will be destroyed by supreme controller. Purpose rating. In our material existence, we accept a higher form of life as a blessing and a lower form as a curse. This distinction of higher and lower only exists as long as the different material qualities interact. In other words, by our good activities, we are elevated to higher planetary systems or to a higher stand of life, good education, bodily beauty. These are results of pious activity. Similarly, by impious activity, we remain illiterate, get ugly bodies, poor standard of living. But all these different states of life are under the laws of nature through the interaction of quality of goodness, passion, ignorance. So we act and then it's based on modes what we get. However, all these qualities will cease to act at the time of the dissolution of entire cosmic manifestation. So, Abrahma Bhuvanar Loka Punaravartano Arjuna Mamapetita Kaunteya Punarjanmana Vidyati. So where Krishna is telling this, that you will not, even though we elevate ourselves to higher planetary systems by the scientific advancement of knowledge, at the time of dissolution, these higher planetary systems and life on them will be destroyed. In this way, the word Isha Vidvamsita Shisham indicate that all such blessings will be destroyed by Supreme Controller. We will not be protected. Our bodies, either in this planet or in another planet, will be destroyed, and again we will have to remain for millions of years in an unconscious state within the body of Mahavishnu, and that's actually happened to all of us. We stayed such a long time in the body of Mahavishnu. So, and again, when the creation manifests, then we all came back. Therefore, we should not be satisfied simply by promotion to higher planet systems. We should try to go to the spiritual abode. So, our real engagement should be in inquiring about the real purpose of life and rendering devotional service to the Lord. This will this thus we will be eternally blessed in our spiritual activities full of knowledge and bliss. So this is very nicely explained by Prabhupada. Very huge purport. And Prabhupada gives the example of how Asuras whom they are worshipping and how Ravana is trying to he kidnapped Mother Sita and how he got punished. So very nicely Prabhupada explained here, and he says Tattvam Narendra Jagatam Atata Tashtuta Tatsusham cha Dehendriyasya Dishanatmabhira Avritanam Yah Kektravai Tapasa Taptavai Hridi Visvaga Avi प्रत्यक्षकाशी भगवांस्तं अवेहि सोऽस्मिता. Sanat Kumara advised the king. Therefore, my dear king, therefore means he's concluding. Try to understand Supreme Lord who is living within one's heart, along with the individual soul in each and every body, either moving or non-moving. The individual soul are fully covered with a gross material body and subtle body made of life, air, and intelligence. So he's telling, instead of wasting time, human form in economic development, cultivate the spiritual knowledge. Understand that what is to be attained and cultivate that knowledge. That's what actually the Kumaras are advising. To understand this is to attain the actual spiritual culture. There are two ways of advancing in spiritual culture, by the method of impersonalist philosophy and by development devotional service. So the two methods are there. And this verse, the word Kshetravit is also important. This word is explained in Bhagavad Gita. Idam shariram kaunteya kshetra it abhyadhiyate. The body is called Kshetra and the proprietor of the body, and Kshetravit. But there is a difference between two kinds of Kshetra. One Kshetra is knower of the body, namely Paramatma, Super Soul, and is directing the individual souls. When we rightly take the direction of Super Soul, our life becomes successful. त्यक्त्वा स्वधर्मं चरणाम्बुजं हरेर्भजन्न कोतपते ततो यदि यत्राक्वा बुद्धभूतविश्व किं कोऽर्थाप्तो भजतां सुरतम्. And Prabhupada is actually quoting this verse, trying to explain if a person out of uh, sentiment, or no other reasons, take to the shelter of lotus feet of Lord and due course of time, does not success in coming to the ultimate goal of life, all falls down due to lack of experience, there is no loss. But for the person who does not take devotional service, yet executes his material duties very nicely, there is no gain. Any questions, comments? Okay, we'll end here. Thank you very much, Hare Krishna.